The story is about a tribe in Zambia. The tribe is called Babemba, and they have a particular ritual whenever there's a person in the tribe who made a significant mistake. They mostly they are quite often they are devastated, they are frustrated, they are you know depressed, and what the tribe is doing, they are bringing this individual into the center of the village, and they gather around him and they start cheering him up. So it's not a walk of redemption, but it's a walk of cheering him up, positivity, as you just said. It's about the positive vibes and telling them, no, even there was a mistake, it's not you. It's differentiate between the person and the mistake.
Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Steve Ramona. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast. Steve Ramona. We're all about to talk on life. Our guest will share his life story. We want you to success in life. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk on life, we're gonna talk on business, you're gonna shine bright, we are gonna witness.
Shout out to my sponsors, A Mind for All Seasons. Your brain is your greatest competitive edge, so why not optimize it? Just text OPTIMIZE to 72000, 72000 for instant access to 6 quick videos that help you think faster, remember more, and stay focused longer. A big thanks to Epic App, the 4-step storytelling system I use every day to connect and to convert. Try it free. Email me at stever1961@gmail.com. That's stevr1961@gmail.com, and I'll get you the free app. Doing Business with a Servant's Heart was just named top 6 in small business marketing. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. As I always do to start my podcast, I've got a little gratitude I'm going to give you today. And today's gratitude, which I should have brought up, but I got talking to my guest, and you're going to love my guest today. In 5-10 minutes, I think we became brothers. But today's your gratitude. Here's your gratitude today. Everything you do with excellence. Your passion and dedication are truly inspiring. What a motivational thing to do. Why don't you start doing that today? If you have any questions, reach out to me. Now let's bring our guest on. Eckhard, welcome to the show.
Steve, thank you so very much. I'm excited to be here.
Me too, because we were talking and, servants' hearts, all positivity, be served, bring value, uplift people, help them, support them, all those great words. But you can support people, or you could be a servant's heart in error as well.
Absolutely.
And that's what you talk about.
Yes, we just it's so fascinating. It's just to bring your listeners up to what we've been talking about when we just introduced ourselves. We're immediately catched up because we were talking about errors, human errors, why people make mistakes, and what motivates me. I've been within aviation for 30 plus years. I've been a safety manager, investigators, and I've been training now for several hundreds or even thousand people now in the appropriate way of investigating, and this really motivates me because I'm trying to teach and tell people, go away from the last slice of cheese. It's the active failure, the person who's doing the failure, because there were circumstances and reasons why this error change started, and this is what I call the error one. It all started somewhere, and what we caught up about is that it's about the person not with that intention doing a mistake, but inadvertently doing a mistake. And this has been well known for 2,000 years. The Romans said to err is human, but we don't change it. We haven't changed it. We didn't learn the appropriate lesson. And this is important, I think, for every leader, is that differentiate between the mistake and the person, because a single mistake, a single error should never define who you or me are as a person. And there's a fantastic story I will tell you in a minute about a tribe in Zambia. But this is, as you say, it's what really motivates me.
Yeah, and I can see why, because it's getting me excited. It brings to my mind people I know that are scared to fly since you're in aviation.
Hmm.
But we take error one and we remove that because flying is safe. I mean, you walk across, you hear this all the time, walk across the street, you get hit by a car. I mean, how many times have I flown? You've probably flown more than I have. You're still here. That's where that error comes to, which is why I love you're in aviation. But dude, let's share that story because it will be the base of what you do.
Okay, excellent. The story is about a tribe in Zambia. The tribe is called Babemba, and they have a particular ritual whenever there is a person in the tribe who made a significant mistake. They mostly they are quite often they are devastated, they are frustrated, they are you know depressed, and what the tribe is doing, they are bringing this individual into the center of the village, and they gather around him and they start cheering him up. So it's not a walk of redemption, but it's a walk of cheering him up, positivity, as you just said. It's about the positive vibes and telling them, no, even there was a mistake, it's not you. It's differentiate between the person and the mistake. So they are cheering him up. They are telling and yelling him, "We love you. You are great. You're a fantastic person, and you are just part of our tribe, and we love you the way you are." And it's not about the person is a mistake. Or what we do quite often, well, almost daily, when something happened in an organization, in a company, is that, well, there's something went wrong, and then the first question is, who did that? And the second is what managers quite often do, and superiors, well, we need to fire him. So what we're and this is what I think we hadn't learned from the Romans for 2,000 years, where they said to err is human. We all make mistakes. There is not a single person on earth who never made a mistake. It's impossible. So when we're saying let's look at the mistake or the error objectively, irrespective of the person who did this mistake, we're differentiating. And then we're starting to develop an error culture within the organization, which truly learns from the error. Because if this error happened to me, I promise you, Steve, this will happen to someone in the future again. So we're not learning from it. The organization is not learning from it. But if we're looking at it in a very structured way and just a rational way, irrespective of the person, then we're truly learning, and then we start to looking for the begin of the error chain. And I can tell you another story where they're so important. If I may continue.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'm working with aviation, but also working with hospitals. And what happens in every day, unfortunately, every day in hospitals all around the world, there is a medication mix-up. So there are nurses who are mixing up or giving the wrong medication to the patient. Unfortunately, um, you know, it's what happens when they're finding out, and maybe in the worst case the patient could die, but most often the human body is able to incapable to cover it some way, and the next day they're now you're getting the right medication. But when the first time that I approach on work and talking and working with hospitals, I ask them, so what did you do? What did you learn? Well, very simple. They say, we told the nurse, the next time you look better, more carefully. And that's it. And this implies, again, and it's the same with the Bamba, it implies it's the person's fault. It's the person. Instead of saying, now, where did the error chain really started? And this is what I did with one of my first clients that I've been working with a hospital. I said, now, first of all, we need to talk to the nurse. What happened? Why was there a mix-up? And you know what? And what that was interesting for all of us, she took the right packaging, but there was a wrong, it's called blister, where the small tablets are inside. It's another packaging inside of the right. So it was the correct packaging, but the wrong blister inside. And she didn't recheck again and gave the patient the wrong medication. Now, implying that somebody else did put it in wrongly is even, it's not, it's still not where we couldn't prove it, unfortunately. But you need to look for the beginning of the error chain. Was it really some other nurse who put it in back wrongly, or was it the pharmacy, or was it even a production failure? And this is what they need to look, because otherwise, what I call it's safety myopia. You're getting blindsided. You don't see the latent failures within your organization, and this is why it's so important to talk to the people, to differentiate between the error and the human being, the person, and trying to figure out what was the error one. Where did the error chain really started?
The Bambians, or Bambia, let's call it that. What came to my mind, which I love, Eckhart, is grace. They came together as a tribe and gave that person grace.
Absolutely.
Which is not happening in business. That's why you've come in. And it's interesting, as I'm listening to you, Eckhart, you work in the aviation and hospital industry, two of the most dangerous industries in the world for errors. You make an error on a plane, many people could die. You make an error in a hospital, like you just said, you get somebody wrong, they could die.
Yeah, but you know what they say? It's a single person. And a hospital is a single person.
Yeah.
So this is the error culture is not as far developed as I would like to see it, because you could save so many lives. There are so many errors done every day, and you know that from your experience, from your friends. You probably know enough mistakes that on errors that happened when visiting hospitals. I know hundreds of errors and problems. So there's I would say it's desperate need for true error culture, but I still, trying to convince them that this is what I'm struggling with. I'm trying to convince them why it's so important, why it's so valuable, and this is why I wrote my book, Error One. To it's really very much focused on those ones who are, who are not aware of the benefit of developing a great error culture.
Here's the other thing. As you keep talking, my mind's spinning, which I love. I'm
Go ahead.
Much. You're brilliant, because a business may not have a human death, but has a business death. They don't follow this human error protocol that you developed and help with people. An audience, I know your founders out there, entrepreneurs out there, even if you're a solo, right, Eckhard?
Yes.
I'm an entrepreneur. Don't get mad at myself for making a mistake by booking that wrong time in the meeting. It was a mistake. Have grace and move on. So this works all aspects of business, right?
Absolutely. If you're learning from the mistake. And and if you're looking at it, what really makes a manager, a leader, an entrepreneur, somebody with a startup, an investor, what makes someone successful? Success is the result of good decision making. Good decisions, how do you make good decisions when you have experience? You would never go to a hospital and have a brain surgery with someone who said, "Oh, I just last week I just finished my graduation, my medical school, and you're the first one. The rest I saw on YouTube. I know that I have seen the video several times. So you don't want to do that. So you want to have someone who is experienced."
I'm not signing up for that, Eckhard. I am with you.
Correct.
Yeah, I'll wait in line. I'll wait in the waiting room.
Right. So success comes from good decision making. Good decisions. You're making good decision with experience. But where do you get your experience from?
Errors.
From your mistakes or from other people's mistakes. And this is why people love coaches, they love training, because those who had this experience, who had those failures, who learned from mistakes, those are the ones who are great, the best teachers actually, who are not saying, well, I always did everything right. No, if I was a trainer as a pilot as well, and when I had my young students, my young pilots, co-pilots flying with me, I said, listen, first of all, I'm not error free. I make my errors as well. And when I gave feedback, I said, you know what I did when I was your age? I did following mistakes, following errors, but maybe you can learn from my errors so you are avoiding from it. They love it. They love it. And this is again, and therefore I love what you just said. It's grace. You're giving back. You're giving, you are a human being. You are valuable. We're just talking about the mistake, the error, the learnings from our flight, what we just did. But it's about the error because you are still a valuable person for me.
I love that. And it's this whole thing about error is a servant's heart. We talked about that. I want to jump in the book, but a servant heart, somebody who's serving people, you're going to say no to people. You're going to make an error. They're going to make an error. That's why you're such a great fit for this podcast. And we don't look at it.
Thank you.
It's like error happened, move on. Okay, how's our revenue? How's our
Yep.
marketing? We go back to that big stuff and going, we don't focus on the errors and learning from them. Let's jump in the book, Error One. I mean, it sounds like a plane, but what a great name for a book. What's the idea about the book? And
thank you so much. So this is just showing it now on video. So it's Arrow One. It's, as you can see, it's the cover. It's basically domino tiles. Domino tiles, just to reflect that the error chain starts somewhere, and this is the first domino stone and the first domino tile that just topples over and brings everything else down. So for the organizations and for us as individuals, it's important to let the last stone, the last tile, the last domino, it's not crucial. That's not the one that you're looking for. You're looking for the first one. And the first one could be a single error, which, as with when we're staying with we'll stick with the example of the dominoes. The domino world championship things that you will sometimes see on TV, is that you have a single domino tile that topples over, and then it spreads out. And you have branches left and right and hundreds of different branches, and the same similar is, and therefore it's a very valid comparison, is that a single domino tile can lead to very different outcomes. Unfortunately, organizations and even professional investigators, they're looking only for the outcome, and they are going back and saying, we need to avoid this outcome, therefore we need to do something different, but not really truly looking for the error one. And I'll give you another example. We've been, a couple of years ago, talking in aviation quite heavily about the Boeing 737 mishaps. Mishaps or wrong development and problems of during development of the 737 MAX with the MCAS system, this augmentation system, which led to a situation where pilots were not able to recover it anymore, where they deep dive into a terrain or into water and crashed, and everyone died. And that's been a couple of years ago. But now, when we're looking at the Alaska incident last year, where suddenly during the flight, a door fell out, and there are and then we have now the production problem with the 777X, and there are so many different things. But when you're putting them all together, they are like those branches of the domino world championship. When you're all going back, what was the error one? It's the lack of error culture. It's the lack of error culture is that nobody at Spirit, where they were putting in the how do you call it, the doors, the emergency exit doors, they had no error culture. So there was pressure. We need to hurry up and things like that. The similar happened with the 737 MAX with the MCAS development, where they desperately were trying to speed up the process of development. And what is interesting, why this is so interesting, it's because when you're looking at speeding up a development of a product, what comes to mind, and which is decades old, It's the Ford Pinto disaster. Lee Iacocca, he did the exact same thing. He said we need to speed up, and it's not should not cost any more. This is an example of my podcast Error One, which you can listen to as well on Spotify and everywhere else. But this is it's equivalent because they were trying to, let's put it bluntly, cutting corners. Trying to speed up, putting pressure. Time pressure is never a good idea when you want to do something thoroughly.
This is great. Thanks for mentioning a podcast, and we'll get the information because I love my podcast hosts that come on here because I've told you before the show how passionate I'm about podcasting. But as I'm listening to you, this can be done in your personal and professional life.
Yes.
Personally, that Error One with your wife, your husband, your children, your brother, your sister. You take that Error One, you don't let that first domino fall. The other 5 million don't fall. Audience, keep in mind of that because taking care of your personal life is just as important as your professional, especially as entrepreneurs, as me and you are.
Yes,
they have to.
I'm personally, if my personal suggestion is take the Bamba as an example for your personal life.
Yeah. No, that's great. I'm glad you mentioned that. Boy, you're a genius.
No. I'm very passionate about it. I'm happy to spread out the idea of Error One and to differentiate between the individual and the error, because this has been 2,000 years old, and I think we still have a way to go to get it into all of our brains.
Well, I agree with you, especially now we need it more in error because we're so divisive. In Germany, America, it's across the world. We're so divisive. I don't know. That's the right word.
Diversive, yeah.
Diversive. Thank you. We're fighting with each other. Oh, you said this. Yeah. Let's let things go. Let's have grace. It's such a powerful thing. We're coming to the end here. Explain to my audience the mindset of Error One, because it is a mindset, isn't it?
Yes. It's a mindset. It's the error culture. So first of all, it's the most important issue is that go away from the last domino tile, from the active failure, from the individual, but use them and as you said, give grace. If I'm talking to someone who did a mistake, and just without judgment, just talking to them and listening to them. And then suddenly you become like a confessor, like a priest. You're just listening, and it helps to the one making the mistake because it feels good, and that suddenly you can talk about your errors, about the mistakes, about the outcomes, without being judged. And this helps your company, your organization, your family, your private life so much more, because you get a much better understanding, and suddenly you realize that there was maybe some stress factors, private stress factors, some issues, some sleepless nights, something like that. But it helps you to get a better understanding in order to find the Error One, the beginning of the error chain.
So powerful. And I have a phrase that I've learned when people wrong me or say bad, judge you. I'll use your great word, by the way, because that's what you're doing when is what you think about me is none of my business. True. And I think that ties in this Error One. Yeah, I made an error, but I didn't try to make the error. Now, if you're malicious and you're doing that, like you're going in robbing a bank, that's not what you're talking.
No, absolutely. And that's not an error. That's not an error. To clarify that, criminals, they are successful when they rob the bank. So from a scientific perspective and an error management, they did not make an error. They only made an error if they were not able to rob the bank. So criminal acts is something very different than the errors that we are talking about daily.
It's beautiful. I'm glad we ended the show with that. That's perfect, because we don't want people robbing banks. Don't go out there robbing banks. Not me and Eckhard are saying. And if you do, don't call us. Well, let's end with a fun question. I always like to get to know my guests a little bit more.
Sure.
So I'm in Hamburg meeting with you, and I reserve a table at a restaurant, one of your favorite restaurants. Mm-hmm. Who would you invite? The 3 people you would invite that have been influential in your life, whether dead or alive.
Okay.
But more importantly, especially for me, what food would you order for the table that would be eaten?
Oh, the last one is easy.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm from Hamburg. That's where hamburgers are from. So you got to order a hamburger.
Is it really? I did not know that.
Well, no, supposedly there were was the Russian sailors who, in the port of Hamburg, they had some leftovers, and this is how they developed hamburgers. But this is legend. I'm really not sure. I
Yeah.
can't tell. And Hamburg, it's a great place to eat fish, any kind of fish. It's a seaport city. It's a wonderful city. I can tell you there are so great restaurants. I could suggest some great food restaurants. The Hamburg is known for different things. It's a beautiful city, but and hamburgers obviously. But who would I invite? Immediately that I would people that I would like to invite is Warren Buffett. I'm a big fan of Warren Buffett. I'm is Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, and you know, and the third one I'd like to think about, but you would be invited as well. So we got three. But
There
you
we
know
go.
why I love those two so much, though Steve Jobs as well as Warren Buffett. The same reason why I'm so passionate about Arrow One, because they were never shy of talking about the errors they made. Neither Steve Jobs nor Warren Buffett. They were very open, very frank when they had their presentations, their meetings. They said, "What? Oh, yeah, that was yes, we did something wrong." When they introduced the iPhone, they overcharged them, and after a couple of months, and they told the customers, "Okay, whoever were the first adopters of the iPhone, you'll get a voucher." So we made a mistake. We admit to the mistake. We learn from it. We'll make it better. Same Warren Buffett. This is why I love both of them.
Yeah, Warren Buffett's probably had 40 unsuccessful error businesses where he lost
Hmm.
money. And look at both
Absolutely.
those guys. It's so wonderful.
But he's
Great
open.
idols. Yes.
He does not pretend to be error free. He's open about this. And this is why we love to talk to and listen to those people. And this is why I'd love to have those ones. And you, of course. But
It'd
I'm
be a
happy
great.
to be on your show, Steve.
Oh yeah, that would be it's fantastic. This has been great. I know people want to reach out to you, Eckhard. How can people find you? Again, where can they find the book?
It's very simple. Just Google my name. It's on LinkedIn. I'm available on LinkedIn. Please connect me on LinkedIn or go on arrow1.net and you'll find my Arrow One homepage. But LinkedIn is the best way to communicate with me, and or just go on Audible, on Amazon, on iTunes, and listen to my audiobook, which is the Arrow One book. Is now available. It's a bridged version of Arrow One. It starts with the Challenger disaster, and it's a great book, and I couldn't recommend it more to anyone.
Awesome. Well, you've inspired me, audience. I'm going to do something really special here. You like stuff for free? Raise your hand if you're listening to this. Can't see it. Eckhard can't see it. What I'm going to do for you guys and for Eckhard, the first three people that reach out to Eckhard on LinkedIn, you've got to connect with them, mention the podcast or my name, either one. You can say Steve's podcast. Doesn't matter. I'm going to send you three people his book for free so you can learn about Error One, because he's really stirred me today about taking the servant's heart to a next level. And boy, how cool is this leadership, servant heart, to going, hey, Joe, you made a mistake, but let's fix it.
Cool.
So it doesn't keep, and I'm using your error chain. I'm never going to let the error chain go. And subscribe to you to podcasts, subscribe to Eckhard's. What's yours again? Error One podcast, correct?
Arrow One, correct.
So subscribe there, subscribe to mine. And here's a perfect example. Error One is powerful. And you're listening to it and you go, God, my friend could really use this. Send them the link to the podcast. Go, hey, listen to Eckhard for about 10 minutes. Did you make an impact? Probably. Is that a gift? Absolutely. That's why you subscribe. Again, the ones you resonate with you. Not all podcasts, but use these as gifts. They're not TV shows. They're not movies. They're actually gifts to really uplift, bring value, and take away errors. Put that in there. With that being said, me and I want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast, and we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.